Hey guys, Dan Heilman back with another video. Today we're getting a little bit of a pullback in the markets. Now, it's mostly altcoins because as you can see here, Bitcoin's kind of not doing anything, but there's kind of some bullish things happening in the background. There's a couple pieces of news we'll just talk about really quickly. Steak and Shake has adopted Bitcoin Lightning pay with the Lightning Network, so it's very quick, and that's pretty cool. I think they probably just converted over to fiat right away, so they're probably not storing it for a long time or making any sort of a Bitcoin treasury, most likely. I don't know, just speculation, but it's kind of cool that every single person who goes to Steak and Shake is going to see pay with Bitcoin. Just more exposure there. Abu Dhabi Sovereign Wealth Fund disclosed buying $512 million of the Bitcoin ETF, so that's pretty cool. Michael Burry literally closed all of his positions, and we have some downgrades. If we, everyone's talking about it, but basically, we got the U.S. downgraded in their credit worthiness, basically saying, oh, we have unsustainable debt. Yeah, no shit, right? No shit, Sherlock. Our debt just continues to go up. Hopefully we can change that, but our GDP is also going down a little bit because we could be potentially and starting to enter into a recession. I'm hoping at least we have until the end of the year to get some big pumps out of the way. But now to the bullish news. So one thing that's interesting is the moving averages. I have this 50 and 200 death cross SMA, simple moving average. You should use it on the daily chart if you want it to work that way. But you can see we had the death cross, as they call it, which is usually actually bullish. And now another interesting thing is when this yellow average goes above the red average, you can see we've seen some very bullish reactions, right? So there's one right there. So when the yellow goes above the red, here's another one down here. Yellow goes above the red, and just some quite large moves from that. I mean, if we go right here to right here, that's 115% move. And right here, so if we go from here to here, that's a 64% move. So maybe we'll see another nice little move here. So that's kind of something interesting here. Another thing that's interesting is if I go to my trading macro and we look at market cipher here, something that I kind of noticed here is when this red line down here, this is kind of the money flow indicator they call it. This is how much money is coming in and out of the asset. You can see we've been red for a while. This is money coming out of the asset class from about February all the way down to April-ish, okay? One thing I noticed is when you get into the money flow, it usually stays there for quite some time. So right here we just entered the money flow, and that was basically 168 days of money pouring into Bitcoin. And, that was a very nice rally here. And you can see over here, this time it was about 199 days. You can see there's a couple where you barely get into it, but if you'll notice how high we are into the money flow, this is quite a high reading, right? So this is about a 30. It seems like anytime we get above like 18 or 20, it stays there for quite some time. So this is the only kind of small one we had, but still this was 63 days, okay? And we're only at, what did I say? We're only at literally 20. So that'd be another 40 days. That'd be another month of up. So the money flow is kind of interesting just because we've seen that start going into this is like another time we barely got in, this is one of the only times that we started putting the money in and then right back out. And you can see here another time, it seems to last quite a long time, right? So there's 123 days. If you go way back here, I mean, look at this one. We were in the money flow, positive money flow for 487 days, right? So here's another one, even right here. We entered the money flow and we were in there for 164 days. So there's not many where you get up into the money flow. I mean, look at this one right here, another one, just long times of money coming into the asset class. So I thought that was kind of interesting just because we're in the money flow and it's a lot in the money flow. So, I mean, really the shortest amount of duration we've really seen the money coming in is at least 138 days. So there's a couple other short ones, but still none of them were 24 days, for example, right? And a lot of people, I see people all over on crypto Twitter, on X, talking about how we have to come down and we have to retest 92K or 88K or 84K. And that could happen, but it also does not have to happen, right? So we spent a lot of time down here. And now we've been going up. I think this might just continue. We might just continue this little lockout rally, and we may just continue to rip up to, I don't even know, maybe 130 or, at least make a new all-time high. What might happen is we might come up here, make a new high, and then come down here. And this might trick a lot of people because they're going to be saying, oh, it's a double top. We just swept the top. We're going back to zero, blah, blah, blah. So if we go over to the total market cap, another thing that's kind of interesting is you can actually go to cup and handle here, technicals, cup and handle pattern, click that boy. And you can see, I kind of probably should have took it a little bit higher, right? And this is kind of the downside here, but we have a target of at least 4.41. So now that's kind of like the minimum that we're going to hit, right? We can still continue to go up after a cup and handle pattern. So that's kind of interesting. And it's booking this as the top, you can see we perfectly retested basically this line right about here. We perfectly retested that for the cup and handle. So the target's up here. That's basically almost a double from here, right? That's a 70% gain of the total market cap. So usually Bitcoin will lead that, and then some other alts will come after that. So that's very interesting. And as you can see, Bitcoin dominance here as well. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Bitcoin dominance, boom, as well. Bitcoin dominance is going up here. So let's just turn off this, and we can now delete this cup and handle pattern because we don't need that anymore. You can see it seems like we're going to try to retest this. So we broke down from this high, and we're retesting the top of this channel, which could get rejected. Doesn't mean it has to, right? If Bitcoin does a massive run and alts lag a little bit, we could even come up and just kind of sweep this high, touch this other target up here, about 66%. That is potentially what could happen as well. Now, another thing is if we go down here and we look at USDT, no, that's not the one I want. This is the one I want. Yeah, USDT plus USDC, you can see, let's add Bitcoin on here real quick. Let's add this, and we'll do it on a new pane. We'll kind of make this a little bit smaller and get it kind of out of the way here. Why does it keep doing that? That's really annoying. And here we go here. So you can see, as it looks like we kind of double topped here. If we add, what if we add, oh man, let me put this back. We're going to turn this off. We're going to do the bull market support bands. I'm pretty sure we just, retested. Yeah, so we broke below the bull market support bands on stablecoin dominance. Now let me again add Bitcoin back here, new pane. Let me move this up here and show that a little bit bigger here. So you can see last time here we dumped right here. You can see we dumped this way on stablecoin dominance. This is saying people are getting out of stablecoins and into cryptocurrencies, right? And you can see, boom, we saw a very nice 90% pump there. When this came down, you can see we have seen some pump already, but we might just see kind of a bearish retest on this bull market support bands. Right now, it's what we're trying to do. And then we could just see another drop. And if we get below this line here, I think we might see a very large acceleration. This might be, the AKA banana zone here. So we'll see what happens here. If we get below this, we could see some very large pumps through the end of the year, or maybe we'll go up for a little bit, little pullback, go up for a little bit. You know how it works, right? You never go directly up. So we'll see what happens here. You can see over here, kind of the same thing. You see this big drop here. That's a 50% drop. Right now, we're only at a 25. If we continue to go down, that's a 40. If we break below this, we could see, all the way down into, you can see when we're in these bull markets, these are quite low, right? So you can see if we get down to like the 1%, 2%, 3%, that's when the assets are basically going vertical. And we haven't really seen that, right? We really have not seen that. If you go look at any of our indicators, so here is the bubble risk indicator. We haven't seen that do really much of anything for a while. You can see the last time we hit that was over back here in 2021. You can see, I mean, you really see that a lot. The risk metric, this risk metric never, it got quite high, but it never really tapped what it's hit historically, which is like a 1. We hit about a 0.95, and then we did see a big pullback for a while, but we could see something even bigger, and we have not stayed up in extreme greed for any amount of time. You can see up here, we had a lot of greed ratings. You can see we were in here a little bit in 2024, and we had this huge extreme fear event. You can see last time we had a huge extreme fear event was right here. So usually this reset means we're going to see some big pumps. Even here in this 2019 pump, we saw the extreme fear happen, and we just really haven't seen any. All the indicators have kind of said that we have not yet topped. So I don't think the cycle is anywhere near over. I see a lot of people, bearish and expecting a huge retest to the downside, and that just may not come. And maybe we will not have an opportunity to get back into here. So let's look at some other altcoins real quick and just kind of see what else we got going on here. What do we have going on? So if we turn on our trading indicators here, what do we got going on? Ethereum, we're on the daily. The Camel Finance indicator is expecting a low somewhat soon, and that usually is followed up by some very big gains. Last time this printed, we saw a nice bounce of about 96%. Again, we're starting to get into the money, and this may continue. As I said, you can see back here, every time we got into the money, it continued for a long time, right? So this was kind of, I guess that's kind of more just a continuation of here, but I mean, the last time we were in the money, shit, that was 241 days. Even this time, this was what? 90 days. So we've been in the money on Ethereum for literally only 9 days. So not much. I just don't see such a short-lived rally. We look at some of the other ones, Sui. It says the daily low just printed. Oh, wow, it just printed yesterday. Ooh, Sui might be a good time to enter. This just printed the daily cycle low. You can see almost every time we get one of these, this was kind of a failed one. This was only a 42% pump. Kind of funny, that's a failed one, right? So at minimum, we're coming maybe up to $5. So this is interesting. Sui just printed a daily cycle low on the daily time frame. So that one is very interesting. Solana, this one is printed back here, and you can see, yeah, we saw a nice little move. AVAX kind of just printed one. So this one, and we're kind of almost retesting that one. That one's interesting. ENS just had one down there. Crow printed one. HBAR had a nice little cycle low there. And you can see, actually, look at HBAR. So on the daily, what you look for to trade on this market cipher indicator, if you're not familiar with it, you can see the money's coming out of the asset. We had this big, deep correction. We let it reset, and then we had a very small correction here. And you can see the money coming out is stopping, right? So this actually might be a fairly good entry on HBAR. I might open a trade on HBAR too. So you can see, but we might see some big numbers, especially because we're kind of retesting. I like having two indicators that give me bullish confirmation, right? So I have the Camel Finance indicator saying we just had a cycle low, and the next cycle low is not until June 21st, right? So that means we could run for almost that whole time. It doesn't always happen that way. You can see this one, it said it was a cycle low. I mean, yeah, if you hit the low, even if we just got back to here, you were doing really good, 48%. But we also have a weekly low about where we are, honestly. A little bit of a reverse head and shoulders. And you can see my market cipher is actually saying this was market manipulation. That's what these yellow X's are. So that might be an interesting trade there. XRP is retesting this wedge and holding up there. Again, we did just kind of get into the money flow, but it's not a lot. It's really not a lot of money coming into XRP. XRP kind of already had its run. It doesn't mean that it's done for the season, but as I've talked a couple times, the risk on XRP is a little bit higher because XRP's standard range is down here about 50 cents. So we're up here now in about 240. So I don't know that I'm super bullish on that one. XLM just had a cycle low, just started the money flow. This could potentially be, we did have this big drop here and then it reset, and we did have a little trigger here, and it also confirms with the daily on this one. XLM might be decent. So HBAR and XLM are looking very interesting, and SUI is looking interesting because the money's coming back in. It was coming out for a while. We did have this deep correction, and if I was paying attention to this indicator, you can see we had the big deep correction. Then we had a reset, which means a wave on the top side. And then we had another lower, I mean, not lower, higher correction here. And the money flow is coming out. So it technically, I should have entered somewhere in this region. And you see that would have been quite a good trade, right? 111%. But we have another daily indicator. I might open a SUI trade. That's interesting. Let's look at some others. NEO, I'm expecting this one to be quite strong again. So we've barely entered the money flow. You can see last time we barely entered it was right here. We did get some sort of a pullback, but then a very big run. You can see we've been in the sell-off period for quite some time on NEO. Did I skip Litecoin? I skipped Litecoin. Why did I skip Litecoin? Here we go here. So we have a daily cycle that failed. So you can see it says we're going to get a daily cycle low sometime in this area. So I might add to my Litecoin position. I already have quite a large Litecoin position, as you guys know, if you watch the channel at all. So I might add the Litecoin. That would be, I might add here because the Camel Finance indicators tell me we're getting a cycle low here soon. DOT is another one I'm really bullish on because we could see an ETF this year. What do we have here? We just entered, again, when we enter the money flow, you can see we stay here for a while. Money is flowing into the asset class. It's very uncommon for us to get into the money flow and then get right back out of it. We did it here, but that was, we only got up to about a 9. What did this hit? This hit a 12. So I don't know. When I see the money flow starting on these assets, usually they stay there for a while because we've been selling off basically since the beginning of the year in DOT. Dogecoin, again, just hopping into the money flow. These are all very similar charts, very similar. This one's hopping back in here. We have the daily low picked right here. It says the cycle low is not going to be until kind of the end of June. So that means we could potentially not see a big pullback until then. XTZ is a really interesting one. This one's been pouring, the money's been pouring out for quite some time. We haven't seen the last final trigger wave on this on the market cipher. So we had this deep correction. We had a reset here. Now we might get some sort of, I guess this could be a little trigger wave. It usually needs to be a little bit bigger than that. I don't know. That one's interesting. I have a trade open here just because we're like basically at the low of the range, right? So I can't expect it to go that much lower. So I do have, and the risk metric from Into the Cryptoverse is saying this one is very low risk. XCN, I have a trade open right now. Because as you can see, the deep money flow was going out. We had a big pullback and I opened a trade here because we had the market cipher have this smaller pullback and it's coming back into the money flow. So last time that happened, we saw some ridiculous runs on this coin. So last time the money was coming in from literally down here and we saw a 3,500% run. I don't expect it to do that again. That was quite uncommon, I think, there. Beam is another one I'm kind of just watching. The daily cycle failed there, but stop doing that. We are in the money again, though. We are in the money flow. So again, as I say, the money flow means that usually stays there for a while. Let's look at ADA. ADA hasn't quite got into the money flow yet. It looks like it wants to because we've had some big sell-offs over, again, since like January-ish. So I don't know. Maybe we're going to see some really big altcoin rallies coming up soon. Meme coins have been on and off. Fartcoin has been in the money for a while now, actually. And did we just have a daily cycle low? No, it failed. It still says we're kind of looking for one. So I don't know. That's looking for a little bit of a shoot up higher. We'll see what happens. But anyways, that's going to be pretty much it for the video. Just want to go through some of that. I think we could see some big pumps coming up soon. So that's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like, hit the subscribe button. Have a great day, everyone. See you guys. Got some links below too if you want to trade, by the way. Feel free to use those. It's a great way to support the channel. Have a great day. See you guys.